Belgium. Famous for its fine beer, waffles, chocolates, and most importantly, its rallying pedigree, which will be on full display this weekend as the country plays host to the classic Ypres Rally, round 5 of the IRC series. But for Peugeot UK's Chris Meek and Paul Nagel, this will be their very first taste of Belgian hospitality. The pair come to the event in the lead of the championship after notching up 2 wins in Brazil and the Azores. Competition will be tough this weekend with not only tarmac specialists around every corner, but also many dangers, as the boys quickly discovered at Shakedown. Chris, we're at Shakedown for Belgium. A little bit of drama. You just came in on 3 wheels. Always a little bit of drama with you. What happened?
Obviously, these Belgium roads are quite specific in that if you slide wide even 6 inches, you're going to touch something and you're out of the rally. So I think it's a lesson learned first run out. But okay, we've a lot to learn in this rally, and for sure, I think with our championship position and everything, it's not. It's more on Freddie's experience and everything. We have to be able to accept maybe a 3rd place or 4th place here. So a good haul of points here would be nice rather than gunning for victory. To beat these guys out here on their home patch is next to impossible.
We have some incredible tarmac specialists here, don't we? We have Freddie, who you mentioned. Francois Duval is here as well, and bound to go well. But 3rd place, I know you're saying, if you got it, that would be like a win for you. Yeah. But deep down, is that absolutely what you mean by that? Because every driver wants to take a win, but of course you've never been here before.
No, I want to win the championship, and you don't necessarily have to win all the rallies, So, and I think this one's probably one of the most unique of the season. The roads on the recce, they look quite simple to the naked eye, but when you actually look a bit deeper and where the guys are taking the cuts, where they're carrying the speed, it's so specific, and you need lots of experience to know where to cut, how much to cut. But okay, we have to learn. We have 3 passes on the recce, and when you take Freddie's done it, this is his 15th time. We're up against it, but hey, we have to start somewhere, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
So for Chris and Paul, the stages here in Ypres are unknown, and they also have to deal with competing on the unknown in the dark.
2 stages in the dark will be very difficult for us because they're used every year for the last 10-15 years. It could be a problem with knowledge in the dark because you don't see as much as in daylight, obviously, but we're looking forward to it. We usually go pretty well in the dark, but the cuts and where you can cut when you can cut is a big advantage to the locals here. We change our notes to 4 or 5 different types of notes for the kind of cuts, so hopefully we have them all in and hopefully they're right.
Tell me about the challenge of the weather as well, because it can change really quickly here, and of course it is going to be a bit of an issue with tyre choice this weekend. If we do see a bit of rain, it's okay at the moment, but forecast is for showers.
Yeah, the weather has been fantastic all week, but Friday there's a 40% chance of rain, and Saturday there's a 50% chance of rain, so everybody's telling us. But the locals say it's not going to rain, but we don't know here. Monday it poured rain 10 miles out the road, and in Ypres was bone dry for the day, and we've seen sun every day since.
The weather may play its part this weekend with rain expected on the stages, which will only add to the tough and tricky conditions that already lie in wait. 16 stages are lined up. The rally begins on Friday. Day 1 of the Ypres Rally, and in the historic town centre, spectators gather to become part of one of the most famous tarmac events on the IRC calendar. Under sun-filled skies there is a relaxed atmosphere, but could this be the calm before the storm? With the rally due to get underway early evening, the talk amongst the service crews turns to tyres. Will it rain or not? Tyre choice will play a major role this weekend, and Peugeot UK co-driver Paul Nagel talks us through the choices that they are faced with. Paul, it's a tarmac event. Tyre choice could be an issue if the weather turns inclement. There are some grey skies above us. We've got the tyre choices in front of us. Talk us through what are the options this weekend.
We've a big option of tyres compared to WRC round or any other round. We can pick whatever we want. But on my right there is a slick tyre on a dry road, which at the moment is looking the most likely when we use this evening. If it's kind of damp or slippery or greasy in places, you just put little cuts along the side of the tyre, just if there's any standing water. And if it rains heavy, this is an intermediate tyre. and it's used if there's downpour, and if the weather gets very bad, torrential rain, you can nip out every second one of these and make it into a complete wet tyre. It's an intermediate compared to a wet. So they're the two types.
As the first stage got underway, dry conditions prevailed, and already Ypres was starting to bite, with Belgian driver Francois Duval going off the road on the very first corner. Chris and Paul, though, emerged without a scratch.
Chris, opening stage of the day, how'd it go?
A bit of a shock to see Duval out at the first corner, to be honest. After that we were very cautious, so the time's probably not so good, but hey, I would rather be here than in Duval's position.
Caution, the name of the game today then?
For sure, it's so slippery out there. The road looks as if it is grip, but we went with a hard compound tyre. It gives you stability in some sections, but in other, the tyre's maybe not fully up to temperature and it's sliding a little bit, so I'm happy enough.
Despite the cautious approach, they set the fastest time and took the early lead over local hero Freddie Loix. But on stages 2 and 3, Loix was fastest, which took him into the lead by 5.7 seconds over Chris after the evening's opening loop. As the sun began to fade, it was time for the midpoint service break. Light pods would be an essential addition for the final 3 stages, 2 of which would be driven in total darkness. After a strong drive, Chris maintained second position throughout the evening and sits 4.9 seconds behind Freddie Loix, with Jan Kopecky 8.4 adrift in third.
Chris, it's been the opening day of a rally you've never been to before. We're on tarmac. How was the first day of Ypres for you?
Exceptionally difficult, I have to say. You know, everyone talks about this rally and the roads and the cutting and the road being so narrow, but for me, the cutting was not so bad. The road, you could read it, my notes were good, but it's a surface. I didn't appreciate how much the surface changes from kilometre to kilometre. Sometimes you go to brake and it starts sliding, and it's just so difficult to read the road. It all looks the same, but some places just so slippery. There's like a very, very fine sand on the road. You cannot see it, you know. So it's more reading the surface. And the second pass was a lot better for us.
Now you're in second position going into the second day, tantalisingly close to the lead. Of course, I know you said you wanted to take good points away from this. You weren't really concentrating on a win, but when you're that just shy of a win, how much will you push tomorrow?
I don't think it's possible to beat Freddie here in the well, in the daylight anyway. In the dark maybe, but I think Freddie drives at the limit of the road. If you're able to match him, then it's as much as you can do. To take time off Freddie is, I think, nearly impossible, you know. So tomorrow I expect him just to creep away again 1-2 seconds, because tomorrow is like a completely new rally again. We start again. I don't know the roads tomorrow like I do this evening, so we have to learn tomorrow on the first pass where the slippy sections are and see what happens. So.
Mark, at the end of day 1 here in Ypres, it's a great result so far, with Freddie in the lead, Chris Meek just behind. Incredibly competitive. Did you expect it to be so close?
Honestly, yes, because I know from the beginning of the year how Chris is very fast everywhere. So even if it's not easy, because Ypres is a very special rally, and but he deserves a lot, and I make no mistake. And if we can follow like this, I'm sure we can be on the top 2 with both cars. It's important for us.
Now, a few spots of rain are falling this evening. Are we going to have a problem with rain tomorrow and tyre choice?
No, but no, we like this, and we have a lot of experience with tyre choice, and if the conditions are just in the middle, it's like, especially like Belgium, and we are from Belgium, so it's easy for us to do.
For the competing crews, it's time to get a good night's sleep, as 10 more tarmac tests await the drivers on the second and final day here in Ypres. The final day of the Ypres Rally. 10 stages remain, including the longest stage of the event. Peugeot UK's Chris Meek and co-driver Paul Nagel lie in second position at the start of day 2, just 4.9 seconds behind leader Freddie Loix. But after taking an opening stage win, Chris narrowed the gap to just 2 seconds.
Chris, walked us through the opening test this morning. How's it been?
Good, incredibly slippery on the first one. On that first one is so fast. It gives you less time to read the grip, and it was interesting, but I'm trying to shut the race out of my mind and just drive my own rally. obviously the guys are all going at very good speed. We're trying our best, but I'm not thinking about position. Even if we go slowly in one stage and we are third position at the end of the day, it's still good. But I'm just trying to shut the race out and drive my own stage.
Stage 8 and 9 run to the south of the historic town of Ypres under grey skies, with Chris setting the third fastest time on 8 and the second fastest time on 9, with Kopecky and Loix taking fastest times respectively. After the first loop, Loix held the lead over Chris by 3.7 seconds. Ypres may be consumed by rally fever this weekend, but life still goes on. This newlywed couple were obviously rally fans.
We like the rally very much.
Yes, and rally is not a crime. Chris Maker is the best.
Go rally, go!
Go rally, go!
Another marriage which was working well was between driver and co-driver, with Paul and Chris working together with ease through stages 10 and 11, narrowing the gap to the lead to a mouth-watering 0.2 of a second. It was all getting very close in Ypres.
Chris, talk to me about 0.2 of a second, because it is quite incredible on your first attempt here at Ypres. How are you feeling about the rest of the stages this afternoon? Can you beat Loix?
I don't want to, how do I say it, I don't want to get into a battle with Freddie, but there's 0.2 in it after 200k. So, but to be honest, I'm starting a stage not thinking about Freddie. I just want to drive at my own rhythm, to my own notes, and see what happens. It's been working okay up to now. At least now we've seen all the stages. But for sure, everybody goes a little bit faster on the second pass, and it's going to be a long evening, but interesting. I'm not going to change anything, just keep driving at the same rhythm, and we'll see what happens. I'm happy with first, second or third. If first comes, very good. If it doesn't, I'm happy, you know.
Paul, it's the end of the morning's loop or the afternoon's loop here in Ypres, and my goodness, it is getting close out there. You are just 0.2 of a second behind Freddie Loix now. It's incredibly competitive out there.
It's absolutely brilliant, but I don't know how good it is inside in the car, but stages have been very good to us today. We've been middle of the road, keeping out of harm's way. And Chris is driving exceptionally well, and as you say, 0.2, you can't even think how tight it is like, so it's going to be a very interesting afternoon, night towards into the night.
Yeah, of course, we go into this evening with the final stage at about 9:30 tonight. Tell me about that long stage though, because that will complete the rally as well. We were all waiting to see what kind of time you'd set on that. What was it like?
It was pretty good. We would drop very neat inside. There's a lot of junctions, and the idea in this rally is to be neat in the junctions. We seem to be very neat, and between ourselves, Freddie and Kopecky, there was 2.3 seconds over 30 k's, so it's going to be an interesting last stage. It'll go down to the wire, definitely. It'll be a last race dash, I think, last stage dash.
What would it mean to you if you could take a win away here?
If I come second, I'll be more than happy. I'm not thinking about the victory.
5 more stages remained, all reruns of the opening tests, and Chris went into the lead over Loix by 0.8 of a second on stage 12. Unlucky stage 13 saw Freddie Loix pick up a puncture and drop down the standings to 4th overall. Other drivers also suffered on the closing stages, with Juho Hänninen and Gian Domenico Basso also picking up punctures. But for Chris and Paul, there were no such dramas. They came through the final stage to claim maximum points and their 3rd victory in a row. They had been up against strong local competition all weekend and were delighted with their result.
Ypres is a very specialised event. I've only seen some videos, heard some people talking, so you never really appreciate it till you come here yourself and do it. And even on the recce, you think your notes are right, but you just never know until you actually compete on the stages. But I have to thank everybody in the team, Peugeot UK, Kronos, Peugeot Sport, all the guys who supported me, and this man here, he's just been absolutely top.
It was a tough battle out there, as co-driver Paul Nagel explains.
Yeah, we were getting the momentum was getting to us, and we were 0.8 in front of him before he went off and got a puncher. But it was a fantastic battle with him, and credit to Freddie as well. He drove brilliantly, and for to be 0.8 of a second between us after 250 k's is something phenomenal.
As it's Father's Day this weekend, it seemed appropriate that Chris's dad was there to share the spoils of success.
He never usually comes to the rallies because he thinks when he comes we don't finish, but it's a tough job to have him here. So.
Chris and Paul celebrate the win. Jan Kopecky took 2nd and Freddie Loix took 3rd. After a hat-trick of wins for Chris and Paul, they now lead the championship by 6 points over Freddie Loix. We next see the boys in action in August, where they return to tarmac on the island of Madeira.